Story number 1. The Haunting Highways. The year 2011 remains engraved in my mind, a time when the ordinary roads I traveled as a young trucker transformed into corridors of unexplainable terror. I was 29, a veteran of the long highways, but nothing had prepared me for the chilling experiences that lay ahead. My fellow trucker was Ray, a 28-year-old who loved the freedom of the road. We often shared stories about strange occurrences on late-night hauls, but we had always laughed them off. That was until we encountered something that laughter couldn't dismiss. Our ordeal began on a routine cross-country trip. The radio in my truck started picking up strange static, occasionally interrupted by what sounded like distant, distorted voices. I dismissed it as interference, but Ray experienced the same phenomena in his truck. The first truly unsettling incident happened on a desolate stretch of highway. We were driving side by side when Ray's truck suddenly veered off the road. I found him pale and shaken. He claimed to have seen a figure in tattered clothes standing in the middle of the highway, appearing out of nowhere. Later that week, while driving alone, I felt a sudden drop in temperature despite the heater running at full blast. Glancing in my rearview mirror, I saw a figure sitting in my back seat, its features obscured by darkness. When I turned around, there was nothing there. These experiences drove Ray and me to investigate. We were joined by a local journalist, Sarah, 26, intrigued by our stories and eager to uncover the truth. Together, we embarked on a journey into the heart of the unknown. Our investigation led us down old roads and forgotten byways. We spoke to other truckers and gathered tales of ghostly hitchhikers, phantom vehicles, and unexplainable lights in the sky. Our audio recordings captured unexplained noises, and our cameras sometimes showed fleeting images of figures by the roadside, visible only for an instant. The most chilling discovery came when we delved into local archives. We uncovered a series of accidents and mysterious disappearances dating back decades, all occurring on the same stretches of highway. The victims were often young, their stories left incomplete. We realized that these roads were not just asphalt and concrete. They were the silent witnesses to untold tragedies, the resting places of restless spirits whose presence lingered in the shadows. With our findings, we approached the authorities, but our stories were met with skepticism. Undeterred, we compiled a documentary, presenting our evidence and the testimonies of those who had experienced the unexplainable. The haunting encounters on the highways lessened over time, but the memories remain vivid. Whenever I hit the road now, a sense of unease accompanies me, a reminder of the time when the familiar became unfamiliar, when the highways revealed their haunting secrets to a couple of young truckers in search of the truth. Story number 2. The Shadows of Route 39. In 2012, I was 28, working as a night shift trucker, traversing the long, lonely roads of the American suburbs. It was a life of solitude and monotony until a series of haunting events unfolded that year, changing my perception of the open road forever. I often drove with a fellow trucker, Leo, who was 27 and had a penchant for eerie stories. We had always exchanged tales of strange roadside sightings to pass the time, but we never really believed them until the night everything changed. Our descent into this otherworldly ordeal began with bizarre malfunctions in our trucks. Radios would suddenly emit static, breaking into a cacophony of unidentifiable whispers. Headlights would flicker, illuminating phantom shapes that disappeared as quickly as they appeared. The first incident that truly shook us was during a late-night haul on Route 39. We encountered an abandoned car on the roadside. Inside, we found personal belongings but no sign of any passengers. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. A few nights later, I saw something that haunts me to this day. Driving through a particularly dark stretch, my truck's headlights revealed a figure standing in the middle of the road. It was a young woman, her eyes hollow with an unspeakable terror. I blinked, and she was gone. When I told Leo, he turned pale. He had seen the same figure on a different night. Driven by a mix of curiosity and fear, we began investigating these occurrences. We were joined by a young local journalist, Jessica, 25, who was drawn to our stories. Together, we scoured local archives and interviewed other truckers. Our investigations revealed a pattern of unexplained disappearances and sightings along Route 39, dating back years. Each story shared eerie similarities: phantom hitchhikers, vehicles appearing out of nowhere, and unexplainable cold spots. The most chilling discovery was of a tragic accident on Route 39 in the late 1990s, involving a group of young people whose car was found in the same condition as the one we had encountered. Their bodies were never recovered. We realized that what we were experiencing was not just the stuff of trucker legends. These were the echoes of lost souls, their presence imprinted on the very fabric of the road. With our compiled evidence, we went to the authorities, but our claims were dismissed as mere illusions of the tired mind. Unfazed, we documented our findings, hoping to give voice to the stories hidden in the shadows of Route 39. The hauntings on that road have since subsided, but the memories remain etched into my being. Every time I drive at night, especially along Route 39, a sense of dread lingers, a reminder of the year when the road revealed its dark secrets to a couple of young truckers, forever altering our understanding of the world around us. Story number 3. The Ghostly Highways. I remember 2013 as if it was only yesterday, the year when the endless roads I traveled as a young trucker turned into avenues of mystery and terror. At 26, I thought I'd seen it all on the highways that crisscrossed the American suburbs. I was wrong. My companion on these long hauls was Matt, a 29-year-old seasoned trucker with a love for road lore. We often exchanged spooky tales of the road, but we never really believed them until we found ourselves living one. Our journey into the unexplained began with peculiar malfunctions in our trucks. Radios would crackle to life with strange, unintelligible voices, and our GPS systems would sometimes go haywire, leading us down unknown, fog-shrouded paths. The first incident that sent shivers down our spines occurred on a remote stretch of highway. We came across an abandoned car, its doors open, engine still running, but no one inside. It was as if the occupants had simply vanished into the night. A few nights later, my reality was forever altered. Driving through a thick fog, I saw a figure emerge on the road. It was a young woman, her eyes filled with an eerie despair. She vanished as quickly as she appeared, leaving me questioning my sanity. Motivated by a mixture of fear and curiosity, Matt and I started investigating these bizarre occurrences. We were joined by Sarah, a 24-year-old local reporter intrigued by our stories. Equipped with cameras and recording equipment, we set out to unravel the mysteries of the night. Our nocturnal journeys brought us face to face with the inexplicable. We captured fleeting images of figures that appeared by the roadside, only to disappear without a trace. Our voice recorders picked up distant, sorrowful cries that seemed to echo from the depths of the night. Our most chilling discovery came when we explored an old truck stop, long abandoned. Hidden in a dusty, forgotten corner, we found a collection of old newspaper clippings detailing a series of unexplained disappearances on the highways, dating back to the 1980s. The victims were always young, their fates unknown. We realized that these roads were not just paths of asphalt and concrete. They were haunted by the memories of those who had mysteriously vanished, their spirits lingering in the shadows, seeking acknowledgement or perhaps warning others of the dangers of the lonely road. Armed with our findings, we approached the authorities, but our stories were met with skepticism. Unwilling to let the story die, we compiled a documentary, sharing the eerie phenomena we had witnessed and the tales of those lost on the ghostly highways. Though the hauntings seemed to lessen over time, the memories of those dark nights on the road linger. Whenever I find myself driving alone at night, a chill runs down my spine as I remember the year when the roads whispered their dark secrets and the ghostly highways revealed their unseen inhabitants to a trio of young truckers. Story number 4. The Lost Roads. The year 2014 still haunts me with its memories. I was 28, a night shift trucker, driving the long, winding roads of the American suburbs. I thought I had seen everything these roads had to offer, but I was about to be proven wrong. My friend and fellow trucker was Joe, 27, a guy who loved the thrill of night drives and eerie tales. We often shared ghost stories, but we never expected to live one ourselves. Our descent into a world of unexplainable horror began with odd occurrences. Our truck's radios would sometimes crackle and switch channels on their own, emitting ghostly voices and chilling laughter. Our GPS systems would malfunction, leading us down dark, forgotten roads that weren't on any map. The first incident that sent chills down our spines was when we came across a seemingly abandoned trailer on a deserted road. The doors were ajar, and inside, we found personal belongings scattered as if left in a hurry, but no sign of the driver. A few nights later, while driving through a dense fog, I witnessed something that shook me to my core. A figure of a young woman appeared in the middle of the road, her eyes hollow with despair. As I braked hard, she vanished into thin air, leaving me breathless and shaken. Driven by a mix of curiosity and dread, Joe and I started to investigate these strange occurrences. We were joined by a local paranormal enthusiast, Emily, 26, who believed there was more to these roads than met the eye. Together, we embarked on nightly journeys into the unknown. Our explorations led us to uncover a series of chilling stories from other truckers, tales of phantom hitchhikers, disappearing vehicles, and unexplained lights. Our recording equipment captured eerie sounds and disembodied whispers in the dead of the night. Our most disturbing discovery was hidden in an old, abandoned gas station off a forgotten highway. Inside, we found a collection of old newspaper articles about a series of mysterious disappearances of truckers in the 1990s, all vanishing without a trace on these very roads. We realized that these highways were not just conduits of travel, but also of unexplained phenomena and lost souls. We compiled our evidence and presented it to the local authorities, but our findings were met with skepticism. Undeterred, we created a documentary, sharing our experiences and the stories of those lost on these haunted roads. Though the mystery of these disappearances remains unsolved, our documentary shed light on the dark, forgotten tales of the highways. To this day, whenever I drive at night, a sense of unease accompanies me, a reminder of the year when the familiar roads revealed their hidden, haunting truths, and I came face to face with the unexplained mysteries of the night. Story number 5. Midnight Whispers on Highway 18. The year 2015 remains vivid in my memory, marked by a series of eerie events that unfolded during my night shifts as a trucker. I was 29, no stranger to the long, solitary roads, but nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to experience on Highway 18. My trucking partner, Alex, just 26, was a practical guy, always looking for logical explanations for everything. But that year, our beliefs were challenged, our skepticism turned to fear. Our journey into the unknown began subtly. Our truck's electronics started to malfunction, with radios turning on by themselves and tuning into static-filled stations, where faint, distorted voices seemed to whisper our names. The first unnerving event happened one foggy night. We were driving parallel when Alex's truck suddenly veered off the road. He later told me, pale-faced, that he had seen a young boy standing in the middle of the highway, staring right at him with empty eyes. A few days later, I had my own chilling encounter. It was past midnight, and a dense fog had descended upon the highway. I noticed a figure in my rearview mirror, a young woman sitting in my back seat. When I turned around, there was no one there. But the cold chill that ran down my spine told me it wasn't just my imagination. Driven by a mix of intrigue and terror, Alex and I decided to delve deeper. We were joined by a local journalist, Rebecca, 25, who was researching unexplained phenomena. Equipped with recording devices, we set out to uncover the secrets of Highway 18. Our nightly ventures turned up a trove of frightening experiences. We captured strange, ethereal voices on our recorders and fleeting shadows that seemed to move just at the edge of our headlights. Other truckers spoke of similar eerie encounters, of ghostly figures appearing and disappearing into the night. The most harrowing discovery came when we explored an old diner, long abandoned, off the highway. Buried in a dusty corner, we found newspaper clippings about a tragic accident in the late 90s involving a family on Highway 18. The family's young son and mother had perished, their story lost in time. It dawned on us that the highway was haunted by these lost souls, their presence a lingering echo of their untimely demise. We compiled our findings and presented them to the local authorities, but our stories were met with skepticism. Determined to shed light on these forgotten tragedies, we produced a documentary detailing our eerie experiences and the hidden history of Highway 18. Though the mystery remained unsolved, our documentary brought some attention to the haunted highway. To this day, whenever I drive at night, especially on Highway 18, a sense of apprehension follows me. The memories of those nights, the whispers in the darkness, and the ghostly figures that roamed the road serve as a haunting reminder of the year when the night revealed its hidden, terrifying secrets to a trio of young truckers. Story number 6. Shadows on Interstate 90. The year 2016 still haunts my dreams, casting long shadows over my memories. At 30, I was an experienced trucker, accustomed to the loneliness of the road during the graveyard shift. That year, however, the roads I thought I knew so well revealed a darker, more sinister side. My friend and fellow trucker, Luke, 28, shared my love for the open road. We'd often laugh about the urban legends of haunted highways, but our laughter was soon replaced by fear and disbelief. Our journey into the unknown began with our trucks acting strangely. Our radios would suddenly crackle to life, emitting a series of whispers and incoherent voices, while our GPS systems would sporadically lead us down unfamiliar, eerie backroads. The first incident that shook us to our core occurred on a secluded section of Interstate 90. We encountered a broken-down car with the driver's door open, but no driver in sight. Inside, the car was still running, the driver's belongings scattered across the seat. A few nights later, while driving through a particularly remote area, my truck's headlights illuminated a figure standing in the middle of the road. It was a young woman, her eyes empty, staring directly at me. I blinked, and she was gone, leaving a chilling void in the night. Driven by a mix of curiosity and fear, Luke and I started investigating these strange occurrences. We were joined by a young, local podcast host, Emily, 26, who specialized in paranormal stories. Together, we embarked on a quest to uncover the truth behind the mysterious happenings on Interstate 90. Our late-night investigations led us to discover similar experiences from other truckers, tales of ghostly hitchhikers, spectral figures, and unexplained lights. Our recording equipment picked up faint, ghostly murmurs and inexplicable sounds. The most chilling discovery came when we delved into a series of unreported disappearances along Interstate 90. Buried in police files and local news archives, we found a pattern of missing persons, all vanishing without a trace on the same stretch of highway. We realized that Interstate 90 was not just a road, it was a realm of lost souls and unspoken stories. We compiled our findings and presented them to the authorities, but our stories were met with skepticism and disbelief. Undeterred, we produced a documentary detailing our eerie experiences and the hidden history of Interstate 90. Though our documentary brought attention to the highway's haunted past, the mystery of the disappearances remained unsolved. Now, whenever I drive at night, the memories of 2016 resurface. The shadows on Interstate 90, the ghostly whispers, and the fleeting visions serve as a haunting reminder of the year when the road revealed its unseen horrors, transforming my understanding of the long, lonely nights on the trucking route. Story number 7. The Haunted Route. The year 2017 is forever etched in my mind as a time of dread and mystery. At the age of 29, I was a night shift trucker, used to the solitude and silence of the roads that wound through the American suburbs. But that year, the road spoke back in a chorus of whispers and shadows. My driving partner was Chris, 27, a guy who always had a logical explanation for everything. We'd often swap scary stories to pass the time, but we never truly believed them. That was until we encountered the inexplicable on our usual route. It started with our trucks behaving oddly. The radios would turn on by themselves, flipping through stations before settling on channels filled with static and what sounded like distant, muffled conversations. Our GPS systems would sometimes lead us down dark, forgotten roads that seemed to appear out of nowhere. The first incident that shook us to our core happened on an old stretch of highway. We found an abandoned truck on the side of the road, its cargo untouched, but the driver was nowhere to be found. Inside, the radio was on, its static-filled voice breaking the eerie silence. A few nights later, while driving through a dense fog, I saw a figure in the road. It was a young man, staring blankly with eyes that seemed to see right through me. I stopped the truck, but when I got out, there was no one there. Driven by a mixture of fear and a need for answers, Chris and I began investigating these strange occurrences. We were joined by Sarah, a 25-year-old local journalist with an interest in the supernatural. Together, we delved into the history of the highways and the stories of those who traveled them. Our investigations led us to discover a series of unexplained incidents and disappearances on the same stretch of road, dating back decades. We interviewed other truckers who spoke of strange sightings, ghostly figures, and unexplained phenomena. The most disturbing discovery came from an old newspaper archive. We found a report of a tragic accident on the highway in the early 2000s. A young trucker had lost his life, and his body was never recovered. It seemed his spirit lingered on, eternally bound to the road. We realized that the highway was more than just a road, it was a keeper of untold stories and restless spirits. We compiled our findings and shared them with the local authorities, but our stories were met with skepticism. Unwilling to let the story fade, we created a documentary detailing our eerie experiences and the forgotten tales of the highway. Though the mystery remained unsolved, our documentary brought some attention to the haunted route and the spirits that wandered its length. To this day, whenever I drive at night, I can't help but feel the weight of those unseen eyes, a reminder of the year the highway whispered its dark secrets to a trio of young truckers, forever altering our understanding of the road less traveled. Story number 8. The Forgotten Path. The year 2018 stands out in my memory like a dark, isolated stretch of road in the dead of night. I was 30, an experienced trucker, used to the solitude of the long hauls across the United States. But that year, the roads I knew so well revealed a haunting side that I couldn't have imagined. My fellow trucker, Evan, 29, was a man of few words, but even he couldn't deny the oddities we began to encounter. Our nights on the road were about to take a turn into the inexplicable and terrifying. Our descent into the unknown started with our trucks. The radios would suddenly crackle to life, emitting static that seemed to whisper our names. The GPS systems would go haywire, directing us down abandoned roads that felt as if they were not of this world. The first incident that truly unnerved us was finding an old, rusted truck on the side of a rural highway. The cab was empty, but the engine was still warm. There were no signs of the driver, and no one ever reported it missing. But the event that haunts me the most happened one misty night. I was driving through a thick fog when I saw a figure in the road. A young girl, no more than 20, dressed in outdated clothing. She looked at me with hollow, sorrowful eyes, then vanished into the fog as quickly as she had appeared. Evan and I, driven by a mix of dread and determination, began to investigate. We were joined by a local writer, Leah, 26, who was researching the area's folklore. Together, we embarked on a mission to uncover the secrets hidden in the shadows of the highways. Our late-night expeditions revealed more than we bargained for. We captured unsettling audio recordings of unexplained noises and conversations. We encountered other truckers who had experienced similar phenomena, including sightings of phantom vehicles and ghostly hitchhikers. The most disturbing discovery came when we explored a long-abandoned service station. Hidden in a locked drawer, we found newspaper clippings about a series of mysterious disappearances along that very stretch of highway, dating back to the 1990s. The stories were eerily similar, drivers and vehicles vanishing without a trace. We realized that these roads were not just asphalt and concrete, they were corridors to the unknown, haunted by the echoes of those who had vanished. We gathered our findings and shared them with the authorities, but our stories were dismissed as mere trucker tales. Determined to bring the stories to light, we created a documentary detailing our harrowing experiences and the lost souls of the highway. Our documentary found a modest audience, bringing some attention to the forgotten path and its unseen inhabitants. Now, whenever I drive at night, a chill runs down my spine. The memories of 2018, the ghostly encounters, and the voices from the unknown linger with me, a reminder of the year the highways whispered their hidden, haunting tales to a group of young truckers brave enough to listen. Story number 9. Whispers on the Wind. 2019 was a year etched in my memory, a year when the highways I traversed as a 29-year-old trucker transformed into pathways of fear and mystery. The road had always been a place of solace for me, but that changed when the unexplainable began to unfold on my nightly routes. My friend and fellow trucker, Sam, 28, was a rational guy, always looking for reasonable explanations. We often swapped stories to pass the long hours on the road, but neither of us was prepared for what we were about to experience. It started with our trucks. The electronics would malfunction, GPS systems leading us astray, and our radios picking up static-filled transmissions that whispered incoherent words. It was as if something or someone was trying to communicate through the white noise. The first incident that truly shook us was when we found an abandoned car on a remote stretch of road. The keys were in the ignition, the engine still warm, but the driver was nowhere to be found. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. But the event that haunts me to this day happened on a moonless night. I was driving along a particularly lonely stretch of road when I saw a figure on the shoulder. It was a young woman, her eyes reflecting a deep sadness. She seemed to mouth a word, but when I blinked, she was gone, leaving a chill down my spine. Spurred by these encounters, Sam and I began to delve deeper into the mysteries of the road. We were joined by a local investigative journalist, Emma, 26, who had heard about our experiences and wanted to help uncover the truth. Our nighttime investigations led us to other truckers with similar stories, sightings of phantom vehicles, shadowy figures that appeared and disappeared, and eerie, unexplained sounds that filled the night air. Our most unsettling discovery was in a small, forgotten truck stop. Hidden in a dusty corner, we found clippings of old news articles detailing a tragic accident from the late 90s involving a young woman on the same stretch of road we traveled. Her story had been lost to time. We came to realize that the roads we traveled were not just concrete and asphalt, they were silent witnesses to forgotten tragedies, echoes of lost lives haunting the truckers who dared to traverse them. Despite our findings, our stories were met with skepticism by the authorities. Undeterred, we compiled a documentary, sharing our experiences and giving a voice to the hidden horrors of the road. Though the eerie occurrences lessened, the memories of that year linger. Every time I hit the road at night, I can't help but listen for the whispers on the wind, a reminder of the time when the familiar highways revealed their ghostly secrets to a group of young truckers who had the courage to listen. Story number 10. The Phantom of the Cross-Country Road. The events of 2020, amidst the chaos of the world, brought a different kind of turmoil into my life. As a 30-year-old night shift trucker, I had grown accustomed to the solitude and predictability of the long highways stretching across the United States. But that year, the roads revealed their hidden, spectral side. My colleague, Mike, a 28-year-old with a taste for adventure, shared my roots. We were both skeptics, dismissing the ghostly trucker tales as mere campfire stories. However, the events of 2020 turned our skepticism on its head. Our journey into the unknown started with eerie technological glitches. Our radios would sporadically broadcast strange, garbled messages, and our GPS systems would sometimes lead us into desolate, unmarked paths shrouded in an unnerving fog. The first incident that unnerved us was on a secluded route. We found an overturned truck, its cargo spilled, but no driver in sight. The cabin was cold, the radio crackling with a haunting static that sent shivers down our spines. But it was one particular night that will forever haunt me. Driving through a dense fog, I saw a figure emerge on the road. A young man, no older than 25, dressed in outdated clothing, standing motionless. As I approached, he vanished, leaving behind an air of sorrow and unanswered questions. Driven by a mix of fear and curiosity, Mike and I started to investigate these phenomena. We were joined by a young blogger, Rachel, 27, who had been documenting mysterious occurrences on highways. Together, we embarked on a quest to unravel the truth. Our investigations led us to uncover chilling accounts from other truckers, stories of ghostly hitchhikers, spectral trucks appearing out of nowhere, and inexplicable cold spots on certain stretches of road. The most chilling discovery came when we delved into the history of a particularly notorious stretch of highway. We unearthed old reports of a tragic accident in the early 2000s involving a young trucker. His body was never found, and the case was left unresolved. We realized that these roads were not just passageways for the living, they were haunted by the stories of those who had met tragic fates, their spirits lingering in search of closure or companionship. Despite our findings, our stories were met with skepticism by the authorities. Undeterred, we compiled our experiences and evidence into a documentary, shedding light on the spectral phenomena of the highways. Though the hauntings seemed to subside, the memories of that year linger. Every time I embark on a night drive, the sense of an unseen presence accompanies me, a reminder of the year when the highways whispered their ghostly secrets, revealing the phantom of the cross-country road to a group of young truckers who dared to listen.